Welcome back to episode 23 of the Railroads Online playthrough. And we are still up at the coal mine. And today we're going to put in the finish track down on the bridge that we put in on the last episode. The bridge is there so that we can get a path that runs down there that follows reasonable curves and has no Z randomization in it. And to start off with, we'll build over what we currently have here so that we've got a single spline at the start. And then we'll put on the alt lock, and now we'll follow the bridge all the rest of the way down. Back to 6. And yeah, this is just a case of follow the bridge all the way down the hill. Trying to keep as close as possible to the center of the bridge. Without falling off the bridge. We're right on the limit of where we can go here. That might actually cause a little bit of a bump there. This is one of those spots where we have to try and get a short straight in here. Which will only just fit by the looks of it. And there it is there. That's our short little straight. But of course it's going to cause it to kick out when we follow in with this curve, which we're not going to try and stay to the center. We're going to go slightly wide on this curve. And how did our straight go? Yeah, we see we got a little straight there. That should work just fine. Second piece, now we'll go have a look. Yeah, no, that should be just okay. This curve should be 25, and we don't want to try and make it tighter than what it needs to be. 25 all the way around until we start coming out of the curve. As long as we stay within 3 to 4 inches of that center line, it will not upset the gradient too much. It's more so worse if we come to the inside of the curve. As long as we stay center and to the outside, it'll actually make the gradient less. Slowly starting to step out of the corner here now. Or perhaps we are, or we aren't. I hope that didn't cause a little wobble in the corner. Let's go back and have a look. No, that seems fine to me. This is another one of them spots where we had to try and get a little bit of a straight in between the change of direction. And it might not be possible looking at this. Just have to put a couple of pieces in and see what happens behind us. Oh no, that's enough of a straight. As long as it's a 2 bogies long, it will not cause a derail, or 2 trucks long, as the Americans like to call it. That's caused us to come a little bit too tight on this curve though. That first one that went in was a 27. That happens. It's not within the... It's under 35 degrees. 35 degrees is where the rail cars will clash corners with each other and force each other off the rails, and we're well and truly within that. So it shouldn't cause us any sort of problems to have the... And we'll just go straight along here until we're back even again. One more, now we'll start to turn into the curve. I'm going to go 2 with the first one. Which that shouldn't be right, because I know we put this curve in at 4 degrees. So we'll stay with 4 and we should get nearly all the way across before we need to start opening it out again. And it doesn't matter to be slightly to the outside of the curve. And there we go, we're slowly starting to come back across now. We can start to ease back out to a 3. Do a 2. 1, and now we start back into the curve again. That should have given us a nice smooth bridge. Well, kind of. That seems to have put a tiny little bit of a weird wobble in there. But such is life. It will not derail the train. And it just kind of gives that narrow gauge feel. We're not after perfection, we're only interested in tolerances. And we will need a couple of splines at this length to make it to the bottom, to where we've built to. Because essentially these are half the length, a 9-tie segment is half the length of a full length segment of track. So we only get half the length of spline as well overall. And again, it doesn't matter if we go wide off the edge, as long as we're not cutting the corner. And a slightly less grade on the curve is not a bad thing. We'll leave that at 3 before we go straight. Well, we do actually get a straight in there. Oh, and this is where we ran out of spline. We'll end it here. Delete the last one. Mark our joint, which should be easily seen anyway because we're on a reasonably tight curve here, so it'll be easy to spot the tangent piece, the chorded piece, all the way up to 25 and continue to build around the curve. It's very easy to see the tangent piece there. Hopefully we still make it around this curve without disappearing into the wall, seeing we seem to be running just a little bit wide. And we have stepping out to a 0 here. We can go up to a 9 before we get too much of a wobble in it, so we'll put a 9 in there. Didn't put a wobble in it. Very good. Well, there has been a little bit of news today from Kurimi on the spine update. And well, there'll be another update before the spine update comes to the beta, and that will be to replace the current rolling stock that is in the game that was made by the team member that has left. And well, he's got an intellectual property over what he made in the game, so it will be replaced with rolling stock. And most of that rolling stock is finished. There's only a tiny little bit left to go on the Heisler. The rolling stock is ready to implement into the main branch of the game, and that update will be pushed out before the spine update. We can expect the spine update within the next 2 weeks. Well, that's simply because Kurimi has been sick with the flu for the last couple of weeks, and he's still in the recovery process, feeling a lot better, but he's still recovering. Make sure I pointed the right direction here. Hopefully that didn't cause a wobble left to right. Oh, it did slightly. So yes, we're still a couple of weeks away from the spine update. So I might nearly get this entire map built on the playthroughs by the time that hits. And we will have some new rolling stock in that time as well, which are nearly every single rail car. Actually, I think it is every rail car is being replaced, because I know there's models for every rail car there. And 2 of the locomotives, the Class 70 and the Heisler. And I expect that update will not be very far away at all. Basically, as soon as they can be implemented, they will be pushed out. And that will come to both main branch and dev build for the replacement locomotives, so to remove any of that intellectual property. And there has been a few other things noted in information, but yeah, I'm not allowed to say. I have seen a little bit of the correspondence and the things that are coming, but I'm not allowed to be leaky on it. We'll just have to wait and see. And Morkarimi has seen the tunnels that Tristan has worked out, and he seems to be very excited for them. Whether or not they get implemented, that's still another story, but things are looking good for getting tunnels in the game. We'll cross our fingers and hope that it's seamless to get it into the world. That's right, we backed out to 19 as we were halfway around this curve. Okay, I don't mind if we run a little bit wide. And again, it doesn't matter if we run a little bit wide going back this way as well. Try and work our way slightly back towards the middle of the bridge here now. Just slowly creep up on it. Remember, this here got up to anywhere between 12 and 18 degrees around this curve here. The big curve at the bottom. Oh, looks like we've run out of spline again. Okay, well, we'll end this one. And delete the last segment. Mark our joint. So it's here. And build over the last segment. And continue on building. And it's pretty much just stay in the center of the bridge now until we get all the way up to where we've built at. Not far to go now. Yes, this corner tightens and then opens and then tightens and then opens. And it'd probably change our grade too much if we tried to do it It's a nice smooth curve all the way around, which would more than likely put us higher up in the air by the time we got to the other end here, where we're going to turn left and go across the bridge. Oh, put the piece in before we walk forward. Sometimes it doesn't like to click the piece in. Yes, the changing of radius around the curve, it shouldn't affect the train all that much. Should still be able to blast around here with full regulator, both uphill and downhill, without any fear of derailments. No, we're nearly there. Starting to turn back the other way now into this curve. Okay, and that'll be our last piece, and we'll go one more past the end and end the spline. This little bit here can go, we don't need it here. Okay, now we do need to leave this last piece of bridge there, so that we've got a height to continue to build from. So we'll delete, sneak up to it, and now that leaves the last piece, and we need that there as our height to continue building. And run back all the way to the top and delete the bridges and the overlap segments as well. And I'll do that with it paused, and I'll catch you when we get back to the top. And welcome back again. We are back up at the top, and that is all of the bridge, all of the rail put in with the finished rail. Now I'm wondering how many people noticed I made an error when I put in the first spline of rail from the top here down. I did not come back and remove this first little bit of rail that's been overlapped on the transition before I started basically before I right clicked it in, come back and delete it. Now, something that you can do, and because that Railroad Studio is such a handy little tool, is you can put the map into the Railroad Studio and remove just that little section of spline out from underneath without needing to basically do it again. So there's a handy little thing that the third-party tool can do. So the next step we're up to is putting some groundworks over this. And we'll start here at the top, and I hope we've got variable. We have. And we'll start running down the path, and we'll go all the way to the bottom with the gravel. And then we'll come back and we'll delete the pieces where gravel doesn't work. You want to have most of it in gravel if possible. And we're putting it at the same depth as what we normally do, which is about 2 looking at the left hand side of the tie, There's 2 grains in the wood, and that's usually about the height that I like to put it, so it's not too high that it can cover over the rails, and it's not too low that it's the ties are sitting on top of it. So it looks like it's sunk, but it's not too deep. And these will be spots that you'll have to come back and remove, because you can see that it's sticking out way off the edge. But in along here, surprisingly, it will let you keep it, because you can see we're starting to disappear into the side of the hill there now. So most of these parts, it'll allow us to actually keep them. And we do the whole lot in one big single spline, and then come and build back over well, basically it's hide the bits that we don't want, and come back and put it in with stone wall in the places where it needs to be stone wall, and then bridge in the spots where it needs to be bridge. That reduces the number of total splines that we've got over the... We'll sneak 3 up and then slowly come back shorter again here, so that we can get across that bridge without having problems with depth. And it also extends how far we'll get with this spline too, so we're connecting to every single control point because it's a windy track. And like the spline count for groundworks is not as big a performance impact as the spline counts for the track itself, or even the spline counts for bridges, because it's a very simple model instead of being a complex model like a bridge. And you can usually tell which models are going to be a big performance impact, because when you click them in, especially in a multiplayer game, there is a huge lag in the game as you click them in, and there's very little lag whatsoever when you click in groundwork splines, whether they be stone wall or for gravel. And we should run out about here, because we'd only... right there, look at that. And you can see that just went straight in. There was no lag in the game whatsoever to place that in. And we'll start off again here. And we overlap at one so that we don't have any weird bits sticking out. Oh, that's good. Most of that will actually get hidden there in that section, for the simple reason that it's sticking out the side of the hill, because the gravel's got such a big footprint. We've got to sneak it down 1, just a little bit there. So far the grade's been pretty good from what I've seen. It hasn't altered very much at all the way around here. This little spot here where I've gone over this hole, this here will be a small wooden bridge. Just a very short segment of it. Hopefully most of this along here will be able to stay in with gravel. It all depends how much it sticks out down there on the bottom of that big footprint that this has got. But any bit that sticks out will get hidden and changed to a stone wall. And that's time. And we're just going to keep on building today. We'll go over time. This will be a slightly longer video because we will finish all this groundworks in this one video. It will just take me a little bit extra time to upload it. That is all. Yeah, this bit here is sticking over the edge. I can already see that around this curve. By the time we get down into the horseshoe, it'll be all nice and shallow again. And we should nearly be at the point of where we're running out again, because this is where the joint in the track was. A couple more segments, I imagine. I still would have expected that to run out by now. There we go, that was our last one. So we'll end that spline and put the last one in that takes us around to the end. Nice and center. Oop, I want to be down 1.75. You can see this is nice and shallow here, especially on the left hand side, the outside of the curve where it's up the embankment. It's pretty much as low as we could get it. And the inside's not very deep at all. We'd only be just above the actual grass level if the grass was on. Almost to the end. And one more piece and then we'll end it. Okay, now all we need to do is run along and delete the ones that aren't in the right spot. And well, the first one of course is the last one. And I think, yes, maybe even that one as well. And run all the way back to the top, and any that are sticking out will hide. Take a shortcut because none of these ones here will be sticking out anyway. Shortcut over through up to here. This is where they'll start to be sticking out the edges from up here a little bit further. Possibly here, but no, seems to be fine through here. Here's the first ones that's sticking out the side. So we'll delete that one. And maybe one more and one more, because we want to taper it back down into the ground so that it looks like it blends nicely. And all of these around here are all down too far. And that one and one more, which should allow us to taper it in. And we'll have the same thing over here. It's sticking out the side, so that one more. And all of these ones that are all sticking out. There's one more sticking out there. So we'll take it back even one more. That will get us to a point where we are we don't need to do this little section here that we wanted to put in as a bridge. That'll be, and we'll go a couple back either side so we can blend it. Maybe even one more there. Okay, now we're going to look along this ridge here and see if any little bits are sticking through down into the bottom. Any bits that are sticking through, like that one, and one back further. We shall remove them. And no, it should be fine. Keep our eye looking along here. Oh look, there's some down there that are sticking through, and one back further. And we're going to have the same thing all the way along here, I think. Yep. Oh gee, we're falling down the cliff. Can we get back up again? Yes, we've got to go the long way around. Okay, these ones are all sticking out, and that one, and we should be able to taper it in from there. Now these ones have got to be removed for the bridge. This needs to be a big bridge goes in here. And one more which will allow us to taper it down. The same thing here. I actually think we need to come back one more to there. And over in here, there'll be some of these that are sticking through the edge as well. Top of the track, we're less likely to fall down the cliff face. All the way through until, yeah, maybe even that one. And that should have us set. And now we can come through and put in that variable stone wall in the spots that need stone wall. And down to 1.75. I might go, because that's done the bed randomization thing. There. That might work. Let's put it in, let's see. No, we didn't get a lip, that's fine. And build all the way around here with this section. There we go, we've met back up again and we'll overlap it one. Put that section in. Now we'll run back to the top and we'll put this blended bit of gravel in. So we don't have this hard sharp edge right here. And hopefully we've got it in the right spot so that we can go for a 10 down and connect it to there. And no, we need one more piece. Hopefully we're sticking out off the edge, so that's no good. Let's go back that bit, and one more bit. And I think we're going to run into a gap here. No gap. One more bit. And now it's smoothed in and not sticking out. And we didn't end up with any gaps there. No, that looks good to me. I'm happy with that. Let's go down and do the next one. And it hasn't gotten up too deep. Still able to jump up onto it. And 10 degrees down. 1, 2, and maybe 3. Yep, now we've disappeared. And they are sticking out by the looks of that. So let's remove that, and it's the other ones aren't. Oh no, we can live with that then. It's only a little bit. Okay, now I'm going to build all the way across this bridge. 0.75. Just so that there's only a single spline of stone wall here. Oh, it's not going to let me put that bit in. It's too deep. So we'll skip a segment. All the way through here to the other side, and one past. Come back and we'll delete the ones out the middle, so it's still only one spline of stone wall there. Gives me a takeoff point for the bridge. One more. Okay, now we'll put the paper bits in here. Down and snap it to there and snap it to there, and that's about the best we're going to get there unless we come back even further. And yeah, don't really want to do that. That's close enough to the end for me. And the same thing here, but it'll only be one piece. All the way to 10 down. And snap it to the end. Okay, now we need to put in a wooden trestle bridge across here. It's not deep enough to have a steel bridge. And we start off from there. We go to, so we hit the right key. And the alt lock off. And snap it to every segment on the way over. And one past the post. Put that in. And the last step of building a bridge by not building a bridge is to put the decking rail in over the top. Off the alt lock, snap it to every segment. And one past the end. Now we will remember to remove the rail out from underneath this time. This would be in big trouble if we don't. We'd have to remove it and do it again. and then remove the first and the last, which don't conform to the curve of the spline. And that made a nice bridge without building a bridge. Yes, quite happy with the, let me up here. Quite happy with the way that one turned out. And on to the next section, which will be back to stone wall again, some variable. And down to 1.75 and continue building. And on to the end of here. And overlap at 1. And the spine there. Now we need to put in our tapers again. Degrees down, and snap once, snap twice, and I'll look over the edge, make sure we've disappeared, and then we'll have a look over this edge, and no, that's no good, we're sticking through. Where are we sticking through at? So it was the end one. So we'll just leave it at that. I'm happy that it's far enough for me. It will hide in the grass being that short. And we'll come back up here and do the one at this end. Paper it in. I'm not sure what happened there. Oh, I see what happened. Well, that's fine then. I'm happy with how that turned out. We were one piece too far back. And I think perhaps we need to take out one more segment there. And one more on that side as well. Put the stone wall around here on this curve. One overlapped. Come back and put the tapers in. And because it's on a curve, we could end up with a little gap here on the outside there. And one more, it reckons. Hopefully we're not sticking out down there. It doesn't look like it. And there might be a little gap here, and there is. There's a tiny little gap because we're on a curve. Do the same on the other end. Yeah, it's not going to let us put that in there like that. We're just going to have to go with one piece. Right, down to the next section, which will be our other bridge, I'm sure. Little short bridge. Yes, it'd be nice if from about here downwards it actually turned into grass. It'd look quite effective. And we'll build across this one with some stone wall all the way across like we did with the other bridge. And remove the pieces out the middle that we don't want so that it remains a single spline for both ends. And one past. We're only going to put a single taper on these. Perhaps. We'll see how 2 looks. I'll go all the way. Yeah, it's a deep hole. We're not going to get all the way tapered down into there. Same back from this way. Let's hop off the side and see what we've got here. We'll move the bits out that we definitely want to put in with bridge. And I reckon that's about what we're left with. I'll put some wooden trestle in there. And the 175, the alt lock off. So it can snap to every joint and it follows the curve. And put some decking railing over the top. Okay, we've got a problem here as well. And yeah, that's not good. Obviously started that in the wrong spot. I'm watching what I'm doing. There's not much I can do about that. Because guaranteed if I try and overlap it, it will actually cause a bump there. So I'll come back here one segment. We'll see what happens. Go to -175, which replaces that bit. And then go to 10 down. And go to there. It removes the gap, but it actually does put a little bump there. And there's one of those reasons why I come down 2 grains on the tyres, so that in case you have to do that and you get a bump in the groundworks from it having to push down, it won't actually cover up the tyres. I'll lock off. Decking rail across this little short bridge. And one past the end. Put it on rails. And remove the normal rail out from on the bridge. And then the first and the last, which don't comply to the spline. Oh, down to the next section. 0.75 and run along and put this all the way along. Turn around and put our tapered bits in. Oh, one more. Probably even go one more. Nice. It sticks out the end, so it can't be there. Back one, and that's where we're going to have to leave it. See how we go with the one on this end. Oh, we're still not even into the ground. Still haven't reached the ground. There we go, now we've disappeared. How many of them stick out the side? Quite a few. You're gone, and you. We're left with only one. So, well, we might take that one, and that one will come back one further. And that one as well. Yeah, some of this gravel with a smaller footprint would be really great in the game. And I actually think there's be some coming. Oh, still got a piece sticking out here of this cliff face. There, and that one. Oh, and even the one tiny little bit more there. So that's as far as we can come. Okay, we've got one more piece of stone wall to put in. And that's all our finished groundworks and our finished track put in from the horseshoe to the coal mine. There, got a judge center for the put in the first piece. One more segment past the post and put our tapers in. Not sure why it does that with the goes to the 0.99999. Just a weird anomaly, I think. And we're not sticking out down there, that's fine. Let's see if we can have the same success at this end. Yes, after you get to a certain number, it goes to all 99. We've gone too far past. As far as we can go is to that one. It's a shame. It does look a lot better when you can taper them all the way down this far. And it will be good when we get some shallower groundworks. We'll be able to not have it stick out so far on when you're up against edges, or stick out at all, because if it's not as deep, the footprint won't be as wide. Okay, well that should be everything there now. We're all put in all the way down. Alright, thanks for watching. Like and subscribe. In the next video we will be continuing on at the bottom there and putting in a bridge and heading around and basically running along the edge of the river. Well, see you in the next episode.